Welcome back, friends. Here to bring you the 5 codexes, or as I call them, the 5 pillars from the Karmic Refusal. Codex 1: The mechanisms of karmic transfer. The trauma is not a mere memory, it is a metaphysical substance passed down through specific vectors. Somatic echo. Trauma from a past life, particularly violent or sexual death, manifests in the new body as birthmarks, chronic pain in specific areas, or irrational phobias. Examples would be a fear of water from a past life, drowning, a wrist that aches from a long ago binding. Lexicon of wounds. Certain words, tones of voice, or even grammatical structures used by parents are imbued with the unhealed pain of their own lineage. A specific sigh, a particular criticism, becomes a carrier wave for the trauma virus. Genetic resonance. Recent non-mainstream science suggests that intense trauma alters the expression of certain junk DNA sequences. These activated sequences don't code for physical traits, but for metaphysical predispositions, including the subconscious drive toward the refusal. Codex 2: The 5 pillars of the coming Civil War. The Second Civil War, often called the Sundering or the Dry War, will be fought on multiple overlapping fronts. Hydra conflict, the war over clean water. Hydra loyalists believe in reclaiming and purifying existing infrastructure, often through authoritarian tech-heavy means. The tributaries are anarcho-primitivist groups who seek to destroy dams and return to ancient natural water sources, believing technology itself poisoned the wells. Identity schism. Not just race or sexuality, but the fragmentation of all identity. Splicers advocate for total transhumanist self-determination, modifying their bodies to be non-binary in the most literal sense. Purists wage war against what they see as the desecration of God's or nature's intended form. Between them, every possible identity becomes a fortified camp. Chronocide, a war against history itself. Factions emerge that seek to burn libraries, delete digital archives, and execute historians. Their creed: to be born anew, we must first unremember the past that cursed us. They are opposed by the librarians of the Echo, who hoard knowledge, believing the key to breaking the cycle lies in understanding it fully. Karmic cleansing. Vigilante groups, calling themselves the Unburdened, systematically target individuals they deem as karmic catalysts, those they believe carry the strongest concentrations of generational trauma. Their actions are based on a twisted, violent form of mercy. Authority of the Void. The official government, a crumbling techno-authoritarian state, uses the chaos to implement total control. Their propaganda frames them as the last bastion of order, while they actively engage in resource hoarding and psychological operations to keep the population divided and docile. Codex 3: The rituals of the final communion. The collective suicide pacts are not impulsive acts, but elaborate ritualistic ceremonies, forming a new terminal spirituality. Libation of lead. The magic potion of isopropyl alcohol, lighter fluid, motor fuel, and diesel is not mixed haphazardly. The brewing is a sacred alchemy. The isopropyl represents purification, the lighter fluid, the spark of life being extinguished, the motor fuel, the end of industry, the diesel, the death of transportation and connection. Drinking it is called driving the final mile. Silicon sacrament. The injection of lithium and mercury is known as the quieting. Lithium, a treatment for the manic pain of existence, is taken to its logical, lethal conclusion. Mercury, the quicksilver of alchemy, represents the final felt transformation of the leaden soul into gold. Symphony of silence. Groups will often play a specific piece of music, a terminal tone, as they enact the ritual. This is meant to be the last vibration their souls experience, a man-made beauty to escort them into the natural void. Codex 4: The fracture points of reality. As the system collapses, reality itself begins to fray at the edges. These are documented phenomena. Karmic rift. In places where mass, intense trauma occurred, old battleground sites of genocide, brief localized temporal distortions appear. People report seeing ghostly visions of the past, not as spirits, but as glitches in time, a phenomenon called the echo. Hushing, a sudden absolute silence that falls upon an area, absorbing all sound. It is said that during the hushing, you can hear the low collective hum of the planet's trauma. Weeping statues and rusting blood. Reports emerge of religious icons shedding tears of salt water or crude oil. Simultaneously, a medical anomaly arises where the iron in the blood of the deeply traumatized oxidizes at an accelerated rate, giving their skin a faint rust colored hue, a physical manifestation of the corrosion of the soul. Codex number 5. The new cults and sects. Aeterna Amoris, a sect within the homosexual community that has fully embraced the manuscript's thesis. They see themselves as the vanguard of human evolution, the conscious terminators of a flawed lineage. They live in fortified communes, practicing rituals to strengthen the refusal. Children of the abyss, the primary practitioners of the final communion. They are not nihilists, but devout believers in the meaninglessness of existence. Their gospel is that the only sacred act left is to choose the manner and company of one's end. Mercury Guild, transhumanist alchemists who seek to use the injected poisons not for suicide, but for a radical metamorphosis. They believe that by poisoning the human biological vessel, they can force the consciousness to eject into a new digital or spiritual form, a desperate, likely fatal attempt at speculation. This expanded lore paints a picture of a world not simply dying but actively deconstructing itself across physical, metaphysical, and psychological dimensions. The prophecies are not just predictions, they are the operating system of a terminal reality. Thanks for watching.